That William Regal's a no-good son of a bitch. Well, yeah, JR, Paul Revere even warned us about this some 225 years ago. You studied it in history class. And as we know, if you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. You can't just solve a mystery and rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo! I'm John Renton with the Retro Review of WWE Raw from October 8, 2001, taking place in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of Dick the Bruiser. But the show did not have Dick the Bruiser, because it would have been awkward to trot out a dead Dick because he'd been dead for just over 10 years. They would then, a year later, trot out Triple H in a pre-tape pretending to fuck a corpse, because that's good television, the whole Katie Vick angle. This is a weird intro. The whole point of this show was to see Austin versus Angle, round 3, round 50, round whatever. They were always having great goddamn matches, and this was going to be the big blow-up. Could Stone Cold Steve Austin win back the WWF Championship? Because they hadn't gotten the F out yet, and I once again must plug the fact that my sister painted this logo. It's a cherished possession, and I goddamn love it. Anyway, Stone Cold Steve Austin would end up winning the championship back after William Regal would be the dastardly commissioner, turning his back on the WWF and aligning with the Alliance for the next few weeks until Survivor Series 2001 ended with the WWF triumphing, and then he would have to join the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club and feud with Edge in a feud that should have worked, but ultimately didn't. So anyway, we have recaps of how the Angle-Austin stuff came to be. All about Austin versus Angle, the rubber match. Could Stone Cold Steve Austin win with the odds evened? So we have the Dudleys with Stacy and Taz against Big Show, Spike, and Tajiri with Tori. So would Stacy and Tori come to blows? Would they try to top each other again? It was all right. Quick buzzsaw kick, 1, 2, 3 in a few minutes. It was more about the melee where Tori was targeted by Bubba and Stacy. Devon get the tables. Tori gets powerbombed through the tables. This is when Stacy had aligned herself with the Dudleys, wearing little clothing and glasses. Sparking fantasies among many men and statistically a lot of women. So anyway, Tori gets carried out and checked on. Here's Stephanie, and she gets SLUT chants. I'm covering my ass here on some of this stuff, but she gets some unfavorable chants said at her, and she says, "Well, who cares what happens to Tori? She had what was coming to her." And I deserve the sympathy because I got tag teamed by 2 guys. She didn't say that, but that's how I'm interpreting it. And after only 2 weeks, I'm back. And then she talks about Austin and Angle, and Jericho shows up and says, "Well, you say that you feel like you could you could be on top of anybody. You could just do this." It made a whole bunch of insinuations that she was easier than spreading butter on hot toast. And then he does talk about oh, you think you could do this too? Well, speaking of two, and points to her chest. Shane shows up and says Jericho's hilarious, and talks about the stuff that he said about his sister. Says, well, if you focused on wrestling instead of just making up quips, you'd be a top guy. But just like the Colts and the Pacers, because they're in Indianapolis, you're just a choke artist. And he says, how about I face both of you, and then I can show you who the real choke artist is. A Canadian is threatening to choke out a woman. By God, we know where Chris Benoit got his inspiration. So anyway, Steph says, well, how about you face Shane and RVD? And then he says, well, how about I get the WCW champion, The Rock? This is going to plant the seeds for their No Mercy match. And choke on that, ass clowns. Better than slapnuts, I'll say that. So Booker and Tess are talking to RVD. Booker says that he would have beat Angle a lot quicker, and talked about being a 5-time WCW champion. RVD puts a snide comment, I can't believe you lost the WCW championship 5 times. That was funny. And then Tess is talking to Booker, says, we're TNT, we're dynamite. Man, Tess saw into the future. He just wasn't able to see it as a reality. Man, he was able to see that 18 years later, there would be another show on TNT. Good for him. So anyway, Booker and Tess took on the Hardys for the WCW tag titles. So the idea was, would Lita, interfere too much and get beat up by Test? Maybe that wasn't on anybody's mind, but Test eventually had enough of her. After she had hit Alita Carana on Booker, when the referee was distracted, he tossed Lita over the barricade. Matt went and chased off with him. And then Undertaker comes out, hits the last ride to Booker T, and then Swanton from pretty far away, 1, 2, 3, there we go. New tag team champions. Test and Booker are talking about how they're going to take down Taker. Booker says, I'm going to do it because I'm the 5-time WCW champion. And then Mighty Molly and Hurricane knock Lita and the Hardys for cheating. She says, cheaters never win and winners never cheat. So face Mighty Molly and you'll taste defeat. It's good stuff. So, No Mercy ad on a baseball field, still better than the Mariners. And Christian joins commentary for this match. It's Edge versus Rhino for the U.S. Championship. It doesn't last long. And also, Christian versus Edge is made official for a ladder match at No Mercy. Christian causes a DQ. The Gore misses, and Rhino's just kind of slumped in the corner. Edge hits Christian with the spear, and that hypes up the match more. RVD and Shane versus Jericho and Rock. Big fight feel, good pace. Shane was a great heel here. Jericho at one point hits the steps, gets knocked outside, is bleeding, gushing quite a bit, actually. He bled quite a bit here. This is when his blood alcohol level wasn't an alcohol blood level. So anyway, Shane gets hit with the rock bottom. We got, some good stuff here. And then Bloody Jericho accidentally hits Rock when Shane, dodges out of the way. And then, when Rock gets hit with the chair, RVD covers 1, 2, 3. Jericho's passed out, not knowing what's going on. Alliance, they congratulate RVD and Shane. And then footage of Benoit on Heat giving his thoughts on Angle versus Austin. Man, it's good to see that Benoit's back from that horrible accident. Anyway, Lance and Ivory also in WWF New York on this night. And Lance says, Benoit doesn't speak for all Canadians. Probably a good thing. Look, you want to talk about choke artists. I mean, Chris Benoit at the end of his life, especially June 23rd and 24th of 2007, he was the ultimate choke artist. I don't fucking care anymore. The son of a bitch is burning in hell as he should. So anyway, Rock is yelling at Jericho. Jericho's got a bloody towel and everything. And Hassan wasn't even around. So then they had a bit of a brawl. That's going to hype up their match a little bit later. And, at the pay-per-view where I believe Jericho would beat The Rock. Big deal. So then Cole says Austin will speak to them after this match, which was Sky Too Hotty versus X-Pac. Well, what a way to take the crowd out of this. They're like, we can't wait till this is over, so Stone Cold will speak. Light heavyweight championship match. X-Pac sucks chance. It was all right. Scotty gets his worm out and, hits him for 3, but X-Pac's foot was on the rope. Oh no. An X Factor later, 1, 2, 3. And then X-Pac, I think this is one of the last appearances he had, because I know that he joined China on her tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling, her brief tour, and he brought drugs over there. He's clean now, but smart stuff there. Always a good idea to carry drugs into a foreign country. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Bubsy. Everything. So Deborah then berates Cole and wants to talk to Regal. And then Lita takes on Molly Holly, Mighty Molly that is, in a match that was fine. The crowd popped a little bit for Lita. They weren't sure how to take this Molly Holly character. Molly does hit a beautiful bridge pin. 1, 2, 3. Good stuff. Molly Holly severely underappreciated as a worker. And Hurricane and Molly are going to go away. And he says, for one night only, to the Molly Mobile. The Molly Mobile. JR just all sniped. It's a Huracycle. It's got a lot, or Hura Davidson, I think is what it is, which was kind of nice. That was Heyman saying that. Deborah wants to be at ringside for Austin's match, and Regal's like, no, nobody can be there or whatever. Why don't you go bake your cookies? It'll be a better use of your time. Him telling women to get back in the kitchen. What kind of guy would say that about women in wrestling? Shut up. Don't say it. Don't say it in the comments. Don't say it in the comments. I'm a good person. Anyway, so Angle cuts a promo about how he's going to beat Austin, their history and everything, not rewriting the history. Once again, DuckTales, woohoo. And Austin versus Angle, WWE Championship match, big fight field. Deborah is sitting at ringside. She's defying the orders, and Regal says, no, get out of here, you wench. He probably said that and then sat at ringside himself. He's going to make sure this match is even. And that was the first mistake many fans made. So there was a lot of pyro smoke in the beginning, to the point where it's like it almost looked like a PS1 game. It's like we were in Silent Hill for a little bit. I half expected Pyramid Head to wipe out some of the people in Indianapolis. And, given the fact, I don't think it would have been that bad to do a little bit of population. Moving on. So good wrestling, nice brawling, sleeper holds, a lot of sleeper holds, focusing on the neck and everything. And then, which obviously that's what a sleeper hold does, but since Angle had that previously injured neck, they were focusing on that. Quick near falls. The chair usage was stopped by Regal. Boston Crab by Austin, but to the ropes for Angle. And then Germans, we get a low blow. The referee was knocked down, and then Austin gets the belt, and he's gonna hit him with it. Regal takes it away and stands there for seemingly forever, and it was obvious right there that they had mistimed this, that he was going to hit him, and he clocks Angle. Angle does kick out, but then gets hit by the stunner. 1, 2, 3, new champion, and Regal now joins the alliance for the next few weeks until the whole thing goes kaputski, even though all the air was out of the balloon before the invasion angle even started. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.